Shabbat Shalom, everyone. How are you? This week on Shabbat, we're reading the last two parashot of the book of Shemot, or Exodus, chapters 35 through the end of the book. A few weeks ago, do you remember that we built our Mishkan, our tabernacle? God gave all the instructions for it. And in this week's Parsha, we see that the people are bringing all their offerings and they're putting it all together. And the Mishkan will be completed. So let's see what we read. At first, very first, Moshe reminds them of the Shabbat. The Shabbat is a special time for God's people. The Shabbat is a sign that we are set apart to Adonai, that we are His. So this week our Parsha opens with a reminder that we are to be holy, to be set apart to Adonai. And then he says, bring everything. And then he says, oh my goodness, you've brought so much, you can stop bringing things now. People were so excited to bring things for the building of the Mishkan. And then he anointed with the Spirit of God Bezalel and Oholiab for the work. And they made the curtains, and they made the frames, they made the ark, and they made the table, and they made the lampstand, they made the altar of incense, they made the bronze altar and the basin, they made the courtyard. Okay, and the Torah portion tells us all the materials that were used. Then they made the garments for Aaron the high priest. Then they set up everything in the tabernacle, and Moshe inspected all of it to make sure that it was done just as Adonai commanded. What's awesome about that is that Adonai told Moshe exactly how to do everything. And the people heard, and then they obeyed. And they did it exactly as Adonai had commanded. Do we know a Hebrew word that means to hear and obey? Shema, that's right. Shema means to hear and obey. And we see an example of the people doing that. And this is so exciting because at the end of the Parsha it says, then the cloud covered the tent of meeting and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moshe could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled upon it and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Do we have a tabernacle like this today? Not today, not anymore. But the principles that Adonai set up with this tabernacle are the same principles that He wants inside us, in our hearts. If we read 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 4, he says, don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit lives in you? Just like the glory of the Lord filled the Mishkan, the Spirit of the Lord fills you. If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him, for God's temple is sacred, and you are that temple. And in 1 Peter chapter 2, it says, as you come to Him, the living stone, rejected by men but chosen by God and precious to Him, you also, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood, offering spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Yeshua HaMashiach. For in Scripture it says, see, I lay a stone in Zion, a chosen and precious cornerstone, and the one who trusts in Him will never be put to shame. Now to you who believe, this stone is precious. But to those who do not believe, the stone the builders rejected has become the capstone, and a stone that causes men to stumble, and a rock that makes them fall. They stumble because they disobeyed the message, which is also what they were destined for. So see, 1 Peter tells us that the temple, which is us, is built on the cornerstone with a capstone. Now the cornerstone is what is laid first, on which the foundation is built, and the capstone is at the top, which holds it all together. It's the first and the last. Who do you know says he is a stone and he is the first and last? That's right, it's Yeshua. Yeshua is the cornerstone and the capstone on which the temple, the body of the Lord, is built. And we are the stones now in that temple. It goes on to say, but you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to God, so that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Have you heard that before? That you are a holy nation? A priesthood set apart to God. Yes. That is also from Shemot, Exodus chapter 19, verses 5 and 6, when the people stood at the base of Mount Sinai and God said, I will make you a holy nation, a people set apart. What does that mean? To be a holy nation, a people set apart to God, to be stones in the body of the Messiah, who is the cornerstone and the capstone. Well, that means that just like the people of God heard what Adonai said and did it exactly, we are to listen, to hear what Adonai says and to do it exactly. We are to be set apart to him. That means holy, set apart to him to do all that he has commanded us to do. So we bring him our thoughts and our words and our actions and the praises of our heart. We bring all of that to him as a holy offering set apart to him. And then we act as priests to the nations by sharing the good news of the Messiah with everyone. Shabbat Shalom.